I've been asked to not only give the same talk I gave last time I was here, but to say the same things. And because I don't write anything down before I talk, that's going to be impossible. But I do remember the opening line from the last time, and that was that I said that God is not in competition with himself. And that simply means that God did not send all the prophets and messengers and teachers, manifestations of God, whatever you want to refer them or how you want to refer to them, to have us all argue and fight over who had the best one. There was a reason, there is order to this whole concept of what we call progressive revelation. From the beginning of time, God has raised up individuals to tell us that he existed. We refer to them as Buddha, as Jesus, as Muhammad, as Moses. At different times and different places, these individuals have brought the message of God. And that is what the Baha'is refer to and what they mean when they say progressive revelation. For us, it's kind of like going through grade school. If you could imagine for a moment that all the prophets went to a university and they all got credentials that said they could teach. And they all taught various grades or levels of education. They, if you understand the concept, have the same knowledge, the same ability, the same potential to teach. But because of the various grades and levels of mankind throughout history, they have taught elementary to very highly developed and advanced information. For instance, Abraham brought the concept of a family and the concept of one God. Mankind at that point could do no more than understand or try to understand what that meant. And in unifying the family and bringing that together, he began a process for all of us that we now have today. From there, he went to a tribal concept, which was what Moses brought to mankind, and bringing the tribes together and giving us the law of God. From there was a concept of love from Jesus Christ, the Son of God, a concept we had never understood or heard of before. In the time of Moses, it was the letter of the law. You know, in those days, if you lied, they cut out your tongue. If you stole, they hacked off your hand. If you saw something you weren't supposed to see, they plucked out your eye. It was very rigid. And this concept of compassion, of forgiveness, of love thy neighbor was what the Christian movement was all about. Many people do not understand at that point and beyond that point, there was another need, and that was to bring the tribes into what we now know as nationhood. And it was Muhammad, a very misunderstood prophet of God, who unified the tribes of Arabia and brought mankind into what we now know as nationhood, the Nation of Islam. A very powerful concept and still in existence today. The Baha'i faith and its founder, Baha'u'llah, is trying to bring us to the next logical step, and that is the unification of this planet. We've gone from family to tribe to city-state to nation, and now we're talking about the whole ballgame. We're talking about the whole world. For me, that wasn't a very promising idea when I first heard about it. When I heard about the Baha'i faith, I thought it was a serious joke. I thought it was a game. I saw lots of black people going to these meetings, and I said, I've got to save my people. So I came to a Fireside to save people from this religion. That was my first idea. I am a child of the 60s. I was a Black Panther. I was a member of every kind of subversive organization during that time that there could be. But I investigated everything. I wanted to know what was going on. So I went from Zen Buddhism to Nichiren Shoshu. I went to Maharishi Yogi. If you guys remember any of these names, please shake your heads, because some of you guys are pretty young out here. But I went through that whole 60s movement, and I could find nothing that satisfied me. So I came with the intent to my first Fireside, like we're having tonight, to disrupt the Fireside, to try and cause as much confusion and get my people out of there and back to where we're supposed to be. Because religion was the opiate of the people, I was taught. It made everybody weak, it made them submissive, and for black folks, it was back to the cotton fields, and I did not want to hear none of that. That was bad news for me. So I came in there and raised a lot of stir, made a lot of confusion, and I regret it. I really do, because they straightened me out real quick. I found out the Baha'i faith was the most revolutionary concept that I'd ever heard of once I got into investigating. I spent a whole year in a library downtown LA, practically locked myself in there, and I researched everything the Baha'is told me. I researched everything that they said. I found out if it was true, where it was coming from. And for me, which is an important issue, an important concept, and even principle, the Baha'is believe, as I now do, in the independent investigation of truth. What you believe, you should believe. You should know it. Not what someone else tells you or teaches you, but you should investigate for yourself what is true. I remember being a child, my father would say things, my mother would say things, because as a child, they open up your head and they pour stuff in there, and you don't know what's coming inside. You know, you don't say, whoa, Dad, let me check out the Britannica on this. I want to know if this is true. You trust your parents. You trust your grandparents. What if they give you some ignorance mixed in with the good stuff? What if they give you something that's not true? It's your responsibility as an adult to go back and look at everything you've been taught and why you were taught it. Because they confuse the issues sometimes. There's a lot of ignorance mixed in with the good stuff. They don't mean to do it. No one means to teach you something that's wrong, but it happens. And it's our responsibility to go and look at truth for us, for each individual. People say, well, why the Baha'i faith? Why be a member of the Baha'i faith? Why is that so important? Well, for me, I had to understand why God did this. I thought it was a big joke. I figured, well, God was having the biggest laugh of his entire life. He sent all these teachers and prophets down here, had us all confused, all misunderstanding each other, all prejudiced and racist and just totally going bananas. And I figured he was laughing, having a good time. Either that, or there was some kind of sense to all this. There was a reason why there were so many teachers and so many religions. He didn't mean for us to argue today and fight over who is the best and who was the most recent and who was the greatest. He didn't intend that for us at all. That was not his point or his purpose. Every people in the world now has had a teacher. And that is a very significant point, that everyone has had a teacher. Everyone knows about God. They may call him Allah, Yahweh, the unknowable essence. They may call him by many names, but it's the same one God. And if we could agree at this moment that there was only one God, that all his prophets that he sent, messengers, teachers, were from him, and that all of us were part of one human family, we could have peace today. But realize that we cannot agree on those three fundamental things. That says a lot about where we are as a planet, as a people. One God, one revelation from God, from all the prophets, and one mankind. That's all we're talking about. That's what it's all about. Why can't we agree on that? What seems to be the problem? Well, the problem is we attach ourselves to our teacher. If you went to kindergarten, I mean, you remember your kindergarten teacher. I mean, I loved my teacher. When it was time to go to first grade, forget it. I wasn't going. I'd rather stay in there and take my little nap, have my milk and cookies. You know, she was nice. I could go play on the monkey bars all day. I mean, when it was time to go to first grade, no way. This guy talking about sitting in one seat all day long with stuff on a board that I had never seen before, and he used to yell a lot. She never yelled at me. So I'm saying that the idea of moving on is very, very disruptive for us. We don't like to move on. But the point is God intended for us to move on. We blew it. We're some of us still in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, or whatever, and we're still messed up. The teacher wanted us to move on. It was intended for us to go on to the next grade. The teacher who taught first grade knew probably how to teach 12th grade. The capacity was for us. The knowledge was for us, not from the teacher, not for the teacher. It did not represent the teacher's capacity. Christ knew all there was to know. Could he tell us? No. He even said in the Bible, I have many things yet to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now. That the Spirit of truth will come. He will guide you into all truth. Why? Because we were probably in the third grade. You can't teach a third grade or eighth grade math. You got to learn the basic fundamentals first. And that's what the world has been gearing up for. For all over the world, people have been waiting, yearning for the time when we can all come together as one. The one lamb and the one lion lying down together. The Bible talks about that. The lion and the lamb shall lay down together. The great and the small shall come together. That's what it's all about. That's what it all means. So why? Why do I believe in the Baha'i faith? Well, I worked out for myself a criterion for believing and accepting a prophet of God. And I discovered there was 5 basic things that all of them can do. 5. They all are very consistent about doing these 5 things. The first thing I found was that they had what we call innate knowledge. That means that they did not come here to learn. They came here knowing. In fact, in the Quran, it actually says that Jesus Christ spoke on the day that he was born. Phenomenal. Christians don't even know that. But the Quran of another religion, of the Muslim religion, speaks a great deal about Christ and about Mary and about the whole revelation of Christ. They have this knowledge and no one can teach them. Christ as a child roamed around. He went to the synagogues and they were overwhelmed by this 12-year-old kid who could teach them things that they didn't even know. All of them as children manifest this power of greatness and knowledge of which no one can understand or can relate to where it comes from. We, on the other hand, are born with capacity and potential, but a serious goose egg in the brain. We have no information. We learn from being here. We learn from our parents. We learn from our teachers. We learn from radio and TV. We put it all together, and here we are. Not so with them. They come to teach. They come to give us the information from the very beginning. They know who they are as children. And that capacity makes them different than everyday people off the street. We don't go out and you cannot meditate into this condition. You cannot pray into this condition. You cannot become a prophet because you want to be. They're born to be who they are. From the very beginning, they have the capacity. Next, they reveal a teaching or a book, a Bhagavad Gita, a Zendavesta, a Quran, a Torah. They bring this knowledge into the world for the very first time. Thirdly, a civilization begins to flourish as a result of these teachings. There is a Christian civilization, a Judaic civilization, an Islamic civilization. All these are a result of those books and those teachings. Fourthly, they have a divine heritage which is linked to the ancient prophet Abraham and through the son of Noah called Japheth. They make a point to say the begats and who begat who and who begat who to prove where they come from. Abraham had 3 wives, Hagar, Keturah, and Sarah. Muhammad traces directly to Hagar. Christ directly to Sarah. Baha'u'llah directly to Keturah. The prophets of the house of the East, they came through Japheth, the son of Noah. Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Hinduism. They make a point to prove they come from the divine line of God's messengers. So here we have 4 things that they all do very consistently. The 5th thing, they live basically a perfect life full of suffering and pain. Nobody's driving around in Cadillacs. Nobody had no gold chains. Nobody had a house in Beverly Hills or Bel Air. They didn't have a place to lay their head, most of them. So, when someone tells me that they're a prophet of God, they better be able to do those 5 things, because all of them can do those 5 things. Innate knowledge, a new revelation, a civilization, a perfect life full of suffering, and the book. So you must be able to do those things. That's why Baha'is accept Baha'u'llah, because he does those things. We did not accept this because somebody thought it was a good idea. It's because we believe and we investigate it and we understand now that he can do those various things. So this is not a cult, a fly-by-night religion. It's none of those kinds of things. Something very, very important, very, very deep. Baha'u'llah claimed that he had his fingers on the pulse of all mankind and the remedy to whatever ails us. When I became a Baha'i, it was like 20 years ago now. And the knowledge is vast. He was a prisoner for 40 years. And in that time, he wrote on every subject you can think about, every subject you can conceive in your mind, from how to raise kids to what's on other planets. He covered it all. So Baha'is have a wealth of knowledge and information they want to share with others. In fact, I dove in 20 years ago and I haven't found the bottom yet. I've been swimming straight down and there's no bottom. It is a vast amount of knowledge, an incredible amount of information for one human being to learn. In fact, you can't even learn it all in your own lifetime. He claims the next prophet of God will come with at least 1,000 years from now, will pass before he comes. And in that time, this knowledge will last us until that time comes. That's a very, very heavy claim. That you have all the knowledge the world needs until that time comes. There are a lot of misconceptions about how the prophets write and what they write about. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah are very symbolic books. You can't take them literally. You can't take them at their obvious meanings. There are deeper meanings behind everything that's in these books. Christ, in fact, explains that in his book, that only a few understood what he was saying. The rest were unaware, had no idea what was going on. So when you read the holy books of the prophets, you must understand that things are symbolizing something else. There's a very confused one that everyone seems to go through a lot, and that is that Christ is the Son of God. One of the most profound ones of all is that Christ was God. And that's because Christ said the Father was in me. That's what he said. Another analogy, if you take, for instance, a perfectly polished mirror. You walk out the noonday sun and you hold the mirror in front of the sun. You see the sun in the disc itself in the mirror. So for all intents and purposes, the sun is in the mirror. All of its intensity, its power, its light is like glowing out at you. The sun is in the mirror. But the sun is not in the mirror, but it's in the mirror.
Reflection.
Exactly. Perfect reflection. So yes, the sun did not jump out of the sky into the mirror, but all the power of the sun is in the mirror. So yes, Christ did have the Father in him. Yes, Christ did have the power of God in him. But God forbid that he left his heavenly retreats and jumped inside the body of Christ. He reflected that power in Christ as he did all the prophets of God. And that's a misunderstood concept. Also, how he would return. The thief in the night, and all eyes shall see. Very confused things. But the Baha'i writings, because Baha'u'llah came to clarify, to explain, to put in order all the misconceptions, it is clear now. The thief in the night is someone who sneaks up on you when you're not looking. Coming in the clouds is that all eyes would see, but what kind of eyes? What happens when the clouds come out, when the sun is shining? It obscures the light. You can't see the sun when the clouds arrive. And a thief is not going to announce himself when he's coming to rob you. So for the first time, it made sense. They were synonymous. A thief and in the clouds meant the same thing. A seeming contradiction now makes sense. And the spiritual eyes who could pierce through the clouds would be able to see the reality of this new coming. So you see, there is no confusion. I look at what's going on in the world right now, and it's very painful because it's not necessary anymore. Baha'is are here to break down the barriers. Baha'is are in the world to make everyone understand that we don't have to hold it up anymore. Let it fall. Let it come down. We don't have our fingers and toes in the dike trying to hold back the water. We're about 6 feet behind these people, building a whole new wall. The other one is crumbling. There's no way to save it. You can't hold on to these old values and concepts. It's not going to work anymore. It can't work. We're all one people. We're on one planet. We believe in the same God. That is the foundation of this religion. That is the basic principle of this religion. There are so many analogies and references to this idea of unity of these teachers. People don't know basically is that they even talk about each other. Christ refers to Muhammad and Moses. Moses refers to Jesus and Muhammad. A lot of these prophecies throughout the Bible and other holy books, they refer to each other. They have no problem. They are totally unified in terms of their revelations, in terms of their teaching us. They have no problem whatsoever. We have a problem. We have a serious problem. And I think it's time, looking at the world that we live in now, that we have to stop. We've got to stop and realize that there's no need for this. From whatever you come from, whatever culture you come from, whatever race you come from, whatever religion you come from, I could not be a Baha'i if I did not accept your culture, your racial background, and your religious background. A Baha'i has to accept all the other prophets of God. You cannot be a Baha'i otherwise. A Baha'i must accept all people, or you cannot be a Baha'i. If you say you are, then you're not. You have to accept the principles and foundation of this religion. And that's what it's all about. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
My name is Brad. You said something about God's purpose, that we all move on to I guess the next prophet. Well, I mean, if it's God's purpose, how come we don't move on?
Good question. In all the religions, there are prophecies about the coming of the next teacher. That has either been ignored or misunderstood by the followers of that religion. I'll give you an example of how confusing things get within a religion and why people don't understand what is going on. In the time of Christ, he made reference to one of his followers called Peter. He said about Peter, "On this rock I will build my church." A very clear indication that Peter was one of his greatest disciples. However, we all know how much attention Paul got. Paul got a great deal of attention. I'd say Paul was not a good man, but Peter was the one he referred to. Peter was supposedly the successor of Jesus Christ. But the religion went into a whole different direction because of that denial of his position. In fact, Paul was a persecutor of Christians at one time. His name was Saul. He became Paul. And then he became one of the apostles, the Apostle Paul. So you see, the confusion begins there with those who inherit the prophet's teachings. They begin to even divide among themselves. And how many sects and schisms are there now of every religion because of separations and divisions? How many of them have lost sight completely of where they're going and why? Thousands of denominations within Christianity. Thousands, hundreds within the Jewish faith, even the Muslim faith now. In the case of the Muslims, it was Ali, a follower of Muhammad, who was given the charge. He even said publicly, "When I'm gone, turn to two things, Ali and the book, the Quran." Before the Prophet was dead, and while Ali was burying him, two other individuals called Omar and Abu Bakr were conspiring, deciding which one of them were going to take over the religion. Before he was even in the grave, they were deciding how they were going to take it over. And for 25 years, Ali was denied his position, and when he finally got it, it was too late. They had totally disrupted the entire religion. So it begins right at that time. In the case of the Baha'i faith, fortunately, you see a picture of a man behind me. His name is Abdul Baha. He was appointed by Baha'u'llah in writing to be his successor. There's only one Baha'i faith in the whole world. There's no divisions. I mean, there's no super cool Baha'is and later on Baha'is and Baptist Baha'is and Methodist Baha'is. There's only one Baha'i faith, period. Why? Because it's been protected. Christ intended his to stay the same. Muhammad intended for his to stay the same, but there was nothing written down, nothing to keep everybody together. Baha'u'llah wrote down in a will and testament that we should turn to his eldest son, Abdul Baha, to protect his faith from sects and schisms, from division, from argument, from confusion. And that's why there's only one Baha'i faith in the entire world. And every attempt to divide it has failed. It can only be one. It was designed to be one. Yes?
My name is Charlene, and I was wondering, there seems to be a lot of division even within family groups, and there seems to be a material God that is destroying people's perceptions and vision of nourishment through spirituality and through emotional closeness. There seems to be people running after the material God, the material possessions, and it seems like that becomes a false idol or a false God. How are we going to take education, community, family, and bring this thing together to re-educate people to get back to some basics and stop running in every which direction? Even there's schisms or separations within families. I've seen so much of that. How are we going to re-educate people if we don't slow them down and stop them from running on this track of materialism, so that they can stop and listen and be re-educated and come together and care about each other once more?
It's the family, as I said earlier, was the foundation of all of these things that we have now. And because we have free will, we have a real problem. We have choice. There's no denying that. And because things are out of control, it doesn't mean that God had anything to do with it. It means that we, as a people, have not understood the basic fundamentals, as has been said, of what's really going on. There are universal laws in existence. And what happens is, when you break those laws, you hurt yourself. I mean, you could say, I don't believe in gravity, right? Go up on a 10-story building and just jump off. You'll find out there's a thing called gravity, right? Whether you believe it or not. In fact, you can go up there and say, well, I believe in it, maybe, but I want to test it anyway, and jump off that way, right? And jump off and say, well, I was ignorant. I didn't even know there was gravity, God. I jumped off the 10-story building, and you're falling down anyway. I didn't know about it. The thing about this is, see, God will forgive you. God loves you. He will forgive you all the way down. Yes, he will. You see, because God put the laws out here a long time ago. He doesn't like God. People think God punishes us. He stub our toe. Oh, God, get me. Gee, what did I do? You know? I had a wreck in my car. Oh, God made me have that wreck. What did I do? God hasn't done anything. The laws are out here. If you break the laws, you hurt yourself. Brick wall. Put your head against that brick wall. Run into it. See what happens. Smash the head. Brick wall is stronger than the head. That's the law. There are spiritual laws out here, you know? You break a spiritual law, you hurt yourself. Ignorance is no excuse. He loves you even though you got a cracked head. You went splat on the concrete. He loves you. He really does. But you break the law and you suffer the consequences. My thing was, let me find out what the laws are. So if I break any laws, at least I know I'm breaking them. I know what to expect. Okay? A lot of us don't know what the laws are. A lot of us don't know what the rules are. We aren't functioning because we don't know what the rules are. We're all very confused. Remember the rules we were taught? Think about the rules you got taught. Right? People who have this should be hated and put down. My dad loved Chevrolets. Right? He really wanted a Cadillac, but he loved Chevrolets. He see a Cadillac go by, he started mumbling, oh, am I going to think he's somebody with a going on Cadillac? Look at him going on Cadillac, you know? Okay? He was upset because somebody else had a Cadillac. He didn't have it. He wanted the Cadillac. So I was raised to buy Chevys. In fact, I own a Chevy right now. I must be psychotic. Because I realized that Chevys are not the best cars in the world. But I was programmed to believe that every other car was horrible. You know, you must buy a Chevy. Everybody in the whole family bought Chevys. Everybody had a Chevrolet. I'm not putting down Chevys, anybody. I mean, but, you know, that was like the way I thought, because I was taught to believe that. And families are the same way. Families, you think you can be a racist in your family, your kid not be a racist? Think about it. You go around telling those little jokes in the family and putting down people when you don't think you're being heard. Your children are listening to everything you say. When they go out there, they reflect what goes on in that house. Very much so. So in order for us to slow things down, we've got to get a grip on what's going on ourselves. Make them understand that there is some order to all this. That science and religion are not really all that confused. They go to school, they're taught science and evolution. Come to church, they're taught creationism and that God made this thing happen. So, whoa, I don't want to deal with any of this. Grown-ups don't know what they're talking about. They tell me one thing over here and something else over there. Okay? The reason Baha'is are so interested in letting people know what's going on, because we have an answer for this kind of stuff. We know why they're separated, and we know how they belong together. In the Baha'i writings, it says, yes, there was an evolutionary process. There was. But there also was a first man. There was. Okay. Darwin was a little off. Okay? Darwin had a good idea, but he was a little off. He thought there was a missing link somewhere, and somewhere in the way man changed and became something else, started out being an animal. Man was always man. First of all, man was always man. He may have looked like other stuff, but he was man. Look inside a mother's womb, okay? You got this little thing that's like a worm, I think in the first, couple of weeks. Then we got a chicken-looking kind of thing, and then we got like a frog-looking kind of thing, and then we got a monkey-looking kind of thing. And then we have this thing after 9 months, looks like us, like a human being, like a baby. See, the womb of the world was very similar. We went through the same process, maybe 9 million years instead of 9 months. 9 million, here we go, going through this process. But in the beginning, we were man. From the very beginning, we were man. Take a cell, a one-cell creature. Potentially in the cell is what it's going to be. Plant a lemon seed, a grape seed, a citrus fruit. A lemon seed, orange seed, and a grapefruit seed. Put them in the ground. Let them start growing. For me, they look all the same. The first time they jump up out of the ground, I say, whoa, I don't know what we got here. The leaves are the same. They look exactly identical. They grow a little more, no help. They grow a little more, no help. All of a sudden, fruit. Okay, I got it. Grapefruit, lemon, orange. Why? Potentially what's in the seed is what's going to be. You can't plant a lemon seed and get a grapefruit tree. I'm sorry, you can't do that. You can't plant that and get something else. You can't start out with an animal and end up with a man. You just can't do it. It's not possible. Potentially, man went through all the stages of becoming man. He hung out with the frogs for a while, with the chickens for a while, swung in the trees with the fellas, ate bananas, did the whole number, but he was always man. Teach your children they were always human. There was no missing link. We were always who we were from the very beginning. We looked like a bunch of other funny-looking stuff, but we were always human. And the first man to recognize his humanness, to stand erect and say, yes, I have completed the cycle. Here I am, Adam, the first man. Man. There's no confusion. Evolution and the Bible go hand in hand. It's the same story, but told a little differently. We did evolve, and we did become what we are today. And Adam was, yes, the first man. He named the animals, he named everything that God created. He was the first man. That sounds simple to me. Why is it so confusing, though? Why do we confuse so much stuff? The reason why, and the reason why I know that is because I did some research in the Baha'i writings. I didn't think this up by myself. Baha'u'llah, the founder of this faith, wrote, volumes and volumes of information. I thought it was the biggest, heaviest. I couldn't believe he knew all this stuff. I challenged this faith. I challenge you if you want to challenge this faith. Challenge it. Throw everything you have at it. I did. I attacked this doggone religion. Because I had a thing. I could take anything apart. My thing was to bust people. I was one of those guys who went on busting things. I went to organizations and said, okay, who's making the money? Who's falling for the okie doke? Look at these weird people sitting around with their legs crossed, mumbling some kind of weird stuff. Who is behind all this? I would find out what was really going on. That was my intention. And when I found out what was going on, then I'd move on. Next. And I went right through every religion I could find. I did this to every religion I came across but one. I could not do it to the Baha'i faith. I could not do it. They didn't want my money. You can't give to the Baha'i faith. You know what? You cannot give a dime to this religion. If you're not a Baha'i, they don't want your money. You want to work toward this cause of unity and oneness, it's okay. No money. We can't solicit money. You send us a check, we send it back. You're not a Baha'i, we can't accept the money. What religion does that? I never heard such a thing. They don't want no money? Get out of here. Okay? This idea is not something that can be bought or sold. It is what it is. It is real. It is for real. And I found it out the hard way. I had saved up stuff to throw at religion. I had collected things. Let me ask this question. Things nobody could answer. We encourage questions. We encourage people to step forward, say, speak, do what you have to do. Find out for yourself if this is true. If it's not true, you heard a guy named Oscar talk for about an hour at some crazy place called the Baha'i Center, and you got up and left and you went home, and that was cool. He was nuts. But what if he was true? What if this is true? What if this is actually the way it should be? It's on you to decide. Yes?
Hi. If you already have a prophet like Jesus, why you need another one? And if we do believe Baha'u'llah is the last prophet for the 9 of them, who's the next?
Who's the next?
Uh-huh.
Oh, good question. I have no idea. I have no idea who the next one is. Baha'u'llah only assures us that there will be another prophet. This cycle, this progressiveness is not going to end. As long as there are people on this planet, plus we don't know what's going on outside our planet. The next prophet may come to unite our solar system or something. I have no idea. Or our galaxy, or part of our universe. There's no end to this process. We've gone from a family to a world. There's a lot of other stuff that can be dealt with, a lot of things that can be done. He assures us there is life out there. He promises us that there's life out there.
What about the first part of the question?
If you already have a prophet, why you need another one? Well, it's like back to grade school. Because you were taught certain fundamental things at a certain point by a certain one of these prophets or teachers. And you should now move on because there's more knowledge they intend for you to have. They want you to move on to the next grade. Because they could not in the 3rd grade teach you everything. You have to go on. If you want to graduate, you got to go through the rest of the grades. And that's where the other prophets come in. That's where Muhammad comes in. That's where Baha'u'llah comes in. There is more information to learn. Don't believe it's confined. Look how disorganized everything is right now. Does anybody have an answer for all this going on? Go out there, try to find it. Try to find an organization that can say and do and bring together people of all backgrounds. It changes from place to place. The Boy Scouts are the same here as they are somewhere else. Different things go on over there than they go on over here. There's no unity or continuity among all of those members. But the Baha'i faith is the same place everywhere in the world. Get off a plane anywhere in the world. The same things you hear in this room, you'll hear anywhere.
My name is Prathama Rocha, and I wanted to ask about vegetarianism. I had read some excerpts. Some of the information came from the Gleanings, and it was things written by Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha, and what they spoke about, one of the things that was most prominent, they spoke about the fact that we really need to be eating more nuts and more fruits and things of this nature as opposed to meat. And when I'm here at the center particularly, I notice there's a great deal of meat eating that goes on here. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder what are the laws and what are the rules that we should be following? Because it seems to me that this information gives a definite vegetarian guide to eating.
Yes, in the writings it does indicate that, and it's obvious scientifically, that man's teeth were not meant to tear meat. They're meant to crush things the way they're made. And yes, Abdul Baha did say that in the future, man would primarily be an eater of grains and fruits and vegetables. It was not a law. It was not set down as a law that we have to and we must do this. There's a difference between something that is suggested and something that is a law. It's a law that we cannot take drugs, a law that we cannot drink, but it's not a law that we cannot eat meat. It is preferred that we not do it. And he said in the future man would, in fact, gravitate towards being more of a vegetarian than a meat eater, especially red meat. And laws have changed. This has not always been the case, and it's slow to happen. As you can see, a lot of us are still munching down burgers and, looking forward to that, that roast beef at home. That kind of thing is still happening because we're slow and we're still changing our ways. Plus, protein was a very important issue he raised. And we do know that there's better ways to get protein now than just from meat. And for a long time, that was an issue. But I agree with you. We will be headed towards that direction, and that is, in fact, true.
Hi, my name is Dawn Hammond. This is just, why do you need religion to begin with? I mean, because I personally don't subscribe to anybody's theory on religion and who said what and who's the best at this and that. And I mean, I believe in God. I believe in, something better than myself and try to live my life as best I can. So why do I need to subscribe to one particular, faith?
It's a good question. I'll answer it this way, that if in fact these prophets and teachers are true, and if in fact they are from God, because they themselves say this is not of me, it is from him who has sent me. I'm a Baha'i because I believe that God sent an individual called Baha'u'llah to this world. And if I'm going to identify with God and what God wants me to know and wants me to do, then I'm identifying with the person who sent him to me, or who he sent to me. That is why I identify with Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah, if I believe, is the truth, right? And is from God, then God intends for me to be a Baha'i and to believe in Baha'u'llah, and to identify myself with him and his cause for this time and this age, and to abide by those laws. I'm not bound by anything if I don't accept Baha'u'llah or Jesus or Moses. Their laws, their principles, their truth does not apply to me. I can do as I will. I can commit crimes. I can be immoral. I can have no value system if I don't want any. But they are sent by God. If that's true, remember, that's the whole basis here. If they're who they say they are, they represent God. They're not here because they feel like it's a good thing. They say they represent God. So if they represent God, I need to deal with them. How do I know there was religion in the world anyway? How do I know there was a God if it wasn't for one of them? How does man know there's a creator? Does he just wake up one day and say, whoa, I register a creator in my brain here? No. Man gets taught that there's a God. Everything we know, we've been taught. We don't automatically know. We have a soul, yes, but we don't know anything until we are taught something. And yes, I do attach that knowledge to someone who brought it to me. And all knowledge, believe it or not, comes from one of them. Everything pertinent, everything important to humankind comes from one of these teachers. Try to find something that doesn't. I defy you to find anything that does not come from one of these teachers. Right down to our laws and principles that we live by today. One of them brought them into existence. Meditation, the Ten Commandments. What are we using that's something that man thought of? Equality of men and women. Where did that come from? Where do all these ideas come from? Do we just, somebody just get up one day and say, I got to share this information with you guys? Or did somebody get sent here to tell us what it was? Think about it. Where does knowledge come from? Trace it back. There is a source for all information in the world. There is a source, a beginning point where things start. And beyond that, it didn't exist. Until this individual said it, it didn't exist. That's the reality. You won't find it in the world until they said it. Phenomenal. That's mind-blowing information. That's why I spent a lot of time in the library figuring out, where did this stuff come from? Trace it back. Muhammad said it, Buddha said it, Christ said it, and before they said it, it didn't exist.
My name is George Alaholo. I'd like to ask you, when you become a Baha'i, what you feel when you change your life to be a Baha'i. Does it make a difference when you, before knowing the Baha'i faith, in spiritually and physically?
Yes, there's a tremendous difference in how I felt. I had a great deal of anger, a great deal of frustration, a great deal of hate for many people. And that was transformed. That energy was transformed into doing something about it rather than just feeling it. The Baha'i faith gave me an avenue to express in a very positive way through change, changing myself and assisting others in making changes in their lives. There's a great difference in how one feels when one does not know any answers to anything, when one does not understand why things are the way they are. People want to know, they want to understand, and they want to be part of something. For me, it could not just be anything. It had to be something that made sense spiritually, materially, emotionally. It had to make sense to me. And that's why I'm a Baha'i, and that's why there's a difference between where you were and where you are. And for everyone who makes that transformation in any religion, they're going to feel the difference from where they were to where they are. Because spiritually, all religion is the same. Remember that. Spiritually, all religion is the same. No true religion will deny that love, peace, kindness, justice, and mercy are good things. They're all good things. The difference is the social application of those things. You cannot apply the same laws to a family as you do to a nation, or a nation as you would to the world. But love and peace and kindness and all those values and principles are very good things. But how are you going to apply them? How are you going to deal with them? Certain laws have to come and certain laws have to go. But for today, we need a concept, a blueprint for a world. How can we bring our world together? That's why Baha'u'llah came. To unite our planet, not to get us individually just together. Collective salvation, not just individual salvation. Christ can teach you salvation individually. But what about our world? How are we going to bring our world together? Can you march into India and say Christ is the only way? They'll laugh you out of India. Because they had a prophet 5,000 years before Christ was born, called Christian, that taught them about God. Can you march into the Middle East or the Far East and say Muhammad is the only way? They'll laugh you out of the Far East because Buddha was there way before Muhammad showed up. How can he be the only way? They're all the only way for the time in which they come. They're the only way until the next one shows up. Then he becomes the way. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. My name is Adrienne Obi, and I'm new to the Baha'i faith. And my question is really basic. I want to know what we can do as individuals to promote unity and peace and equality amongst people as Baha'is.
Well, the greatest demonstration is example, to live it. To be a Baha'i is to live the life. That's what it's all about, to live the life. Everybody's got a good game on paper. Everybody's got a good game on speeches. You can write down anything on paper and make it sound real good. Communism looks great on paper, but try to apply it, try to live it, try to put it into practice. The best way to teach the Baha'i faith is to live the life of a Baha'i. To not be prejudiced, to open your arms to all people, to try and assist humankind. The greatest level that we can rise to is servitude, to be servants to God's creatures. What can we do for God? Nothing. Does God need us? No. You serve God by serving humankind, by serving other people, by being the person that you say you are. That's the best way to teach anything, including your children. Be an example for them. Don't say one thing and do something else. That's a hypocrite. Be anything, but don't be a hypocrite. If you're going to be a Baha'i, don't be a hypocrite.
Hi, my name is Nicola Brescia. I was wondering if the manifestation of God that came before Baha'u'llah explain about the fact that there's going to be different manifestations and they're not going to be the only one.
Did other teachers?
Yeah, the other manifestations like Jesus, Buddha, etc. explain about the fact that there's going to be other ones.
Yes, they did. In every holy book, there is a promise. In every religion, there is a promise that there will be another teacher. They all promise that there'll be this great teacher. Not only the one that would come after them, but this great one that would come and bring the whole thing together. Christ said, had you known Moses, you would know me. In the Bible, he refers to Moses. Christ said he had things to say to us that we could not understand, that he would send someone. He would send the Spirit of truth to us to guide us to the next truth. There are references in every religion about these things. And the Quran talks about all the prophets prior to Muhammad. And Muhammad talks about the great announcement that would come, that would bring it all together. The twin trumpets that would come. All the religions talk about the next prophet. And Baha'u'llah, yes, refers to the next prophet. He says, deal not with him as you have dealt with me, but that he would also suffer when he comes. Because for whatever reason, mankind will not understand when he arrives. But he also will be coming. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Winter. I know at home we can do a lot of things about racism and sexism and so forth, but it was my understanding that in the Baha'i religion there was going to be a universal language, and it seems a bit arrogant that English seems to be that at this time. What's happening with a universal language so that everybody everywhere can understand one another?
Abdu'l-Baha said that we should create a new language or pick one of the existing languages and make it a universal language so that all people could communicate all over the world. We could come together as one family. How much suspicion is there because we don't understand each other? You're on a bus in a certain area of town and everybody's speaking one language. Somebody starts to laugh. The first thing you think is they're laughing at me. You don't understand what they're saying. There is no particular religion at this time, language at this time that has been picked. And yes, English is becoming more and more seemingly that language all over the world because everyone's teaching it to all their children in all the classrooms and all over the world. So whether it has been adopted or chosen specifically at this point, it has not. But it could well be. And other languages could also be chosen. One was created called Esperanto, of all the Romantic languages, and brought together for the idea of having it as a universal language. And it was presented to Abdu'l-Baha and to the other people in the world. It was not chosen, has not yet been chosen as that language. But that was the intention of Esperanto. So it's not arrogant to think that English is going to be the one. We don't know which one it's going to be. It's possible that it could very well be the one.
My name is Dorothy. Would you explain your understanding of this? If Jesus said that the kingdom of God is within, then why would we need institutions like the Baha'i faith?
Okay. Again, Jesus Christ and his whole intention was to teach individual salvation, to be saved through his teaching. And the fact that we have institutions and other religions that teach a different concept does not mean that you've given up that idea of looking inside, and yes, heaven is still within you. It's still attainable within you. But when you go and do algebra, you don't throw out subtraction and addition. You see, you add on to what you already have. To be a Baha'i doesn't mean I'm going to deny anything. I'm going to accept all that has been taught in the past and include more. So yes, heaven is still within all of us. Heaven can still be found within all of us. It is for our individual salvation that he spoke. But it doesn't mean that we don't love our neighboring countries and the people in them as part of that salvation as well. Because we see the world does not live and function very well without or with just having individual salvation. It doesn't work. Your own personal salvation doesn't mean anything anymore. When the rest of the world is going to hell, what's good if you go to heaven? Aren't we all one? We're told we're one soul in many bodies. We're all connected. When something happens in one part of the world, we suffer in the other part of the world. We're all very much interconnected, interdependent on each other. So salvation means something larger than just self, although we all have that potential for independent and self-realization. There's another question.
Earlier you said if you're going to be a Baha'i, don't be a hypocrite. And I know some of the Baha'i laws are very new, especially in this country, like you mentioned the drug and alcohol being forbidden. And there's some other laws like the chastity laws. And I was wondering, how is every Baha'i able to just, the minute you become a Baha'i, just to be completely pure and clean and give up all of these things? And what if you believe in the Baha'i faith and you would like to be a Baha'i, but you don't want to reflect badly or be a hypocrite? How do you resolve something like that?
Well, it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. No one expects perfection from anybody. The motive to try, and being a Baha'i is not that you're going to be perfect or accept all the laws and understand all the laws immediately. Being a Baha'i is accepting Baha'u'llah as the manifestation of God, the prophet of God for this time, and abiding by what he has brought to the best of your ability. We're all growing. We're all in a constant state of transition and change. And you're responsible for what you know and understand. That's what you're responsible for. And it's very difficult to give up everything. That's why it's so beautiful that we don't have to give up our culture and our language and our background to be a part of this. That was a very critical thing. But as far as laws and ideas of drugs or ideas of sex or ideas of marriage, these are all laws that apply now. And things have changed. Yes, it takes a while for mankind to catch up with the prophet and what he has revealed. It's not as bad as in some cases. For instance, with Moses, it was much more difficult. Moses forbid pork way back in, 5,000 years ago. And the people didn't understand why. They had no idea why he said don't eat pork. Of course, we know why today. But 5,000 years ago, we had no idea what was going on. I mean, he said, just don't eat it. They said, why? Never mind why, just don't eat it. Okay? That was blind faith. It's called blind faith. You just accept because somebody told you to. You don't have to understand, just don't do it. So he couldn't explain that there were little invisible creatures in it called, disease, and it was trichinosis, and you would die if you ate it. Of course, those that believed him and listened stayed healthy. Those that didn't died. I wish they were dead because they got so sick. However, 5,000 years later, we have the microscope, look inside there. Oh, gee, fellas, check this out. Moses was right 5,000 years ago. Look at these things in this meat. So now we can take care of the meat, cure it, get all the germs out of it. And this lady right here would probably be very upset that we could have all the ham and pork chops and bacon we want because we got rid of the germs out of the meat. So what applied then does no longer apply. That law has been what they call abrogated. No longer applies today. So laws change because we change. That law no longer applies. That's a social law. The Jews, however, still live according to that law. No pork. It's not a good meat anyway. I mean, it's not that great, but it won't kill you. But that was the reason why they were given the law in the first place. It would kill you if you ate it. So it takes a while for laws to be understood. And some laws don't even apply anymore. We're still trying to understand them or deal with them. So new laws, especially Baha'i laws and Baha'i concepts, are very difficult in the beginning to accept and understand. But all you have to be doing is willing to take the trip. You don't have to be there. Just be willing to take the journey. That's all that the Baha'is ask. To at least try. Yes.
My name is Brad again. Somebody mentioned before about a universal language. Is that going to be like one language, and like is the whole world going to be Baha'i, and there's going to be one culture and one race, or what is the ideas about that?
No, everyone will keep their mother tongue. If you are German, you will keep speaking German. If you are Latino, you will keep speaking Spanish. Everyone will keep their mother tongue. But in every school in the world, there'll be one language taught to every student, in addition to their own mother tongue, their own language. So in fact, you would actually learn two languages, your own and the universal language. Why try to learn 12, 50, 1,000? Why spend your whole life in school studying languages? It's ridiculous. Let's just pick one for the whole world. One language for the whole world. Keep your own language and learn one more language. That makes sense? Makes sense to me. I mean, the world's been shrunk to a neighborhood. It's not a big place anymore. We're all very close together. We're all one big family. Let's all speak the same language, please.
What about the cultures and religions?
Religions and cultures, you keep your culture. We want to share the best of all cultures. I love Chinese food. I love Mexican food. I love Italian food. Do I have to pick which one is the best? Do I have to decide that one is superior to the other? Of course not. Share what you have from your culture. Share your food, share your traditions, your customs. Bring it in to the world. Make it part of the world. Don't deny it. Religion, as I said earlier, I cannot be a Baha'i if I do not accept Jesus, I do not accept Moses, I do not accept Muhammad. I must accept. I read these books. I study all of the religions of the world. What I do not become a part of is what I call churchianity. I do not become a part of the system created by men to try and make that religion work. I love Jesus Christ and his teachings and his book. I do not love what people have done by dividing and creating wars over that religion. So yes, I accept the teacher, the prophet. I do not accept the man-made institutions that have corrupted it. So being a Baha'i does not mean I have to accept every person's idea of how it's supposed to go. But I do accept God and the teacher that he sent to that person, to those people. I do believe in Jesus Christ and who he says he is in every sense of the word. There is no demeaning Jesus Christ at all by being a Baha'i, or Moses, or Muhammad. They are exactly who those individuals who followed those prophets, they are exactly the same person to Baha'is. No different. But how are we going to unite the world if we don't accept the other person's teacher? Accept their culture, accept their race. What religion is going to promote the unity of all religions? Is there one out there doing that? You go to a Baptist church, you cannot mention anything but Baptist. You go to a Catholic church, you better talk about Catholicism in the Catholic way, or you're not part of that. You can't even mention another prophet, they can't imagine Buddha? What is that? They can't even relate. Within their own faith, they can't relate. So you see, it's not about all of that, not to a Baha'i. We accept the teachings as they are in their pure form, not to what's been done to them, not to how they've been teached and interpreted and taught to other people. How we, as Baha'is, accept and love them for what they are, not because someone told us how to love them or how to apply them. There's the difference. Martin Luther, the original Martin Luther, was a Protestant. That's what a Protestant is. He's a Protestant. He protested against the Catholic Church. Now we have all these Protestant religions, Protestant religions, all with their own ideas about how to do it. It's insane.
My name is Esvan Hasari, and I've just come from South Africa. When the young black people in South Africa were taught about the principle of non-involvement in the politics, it created a bit of confusion in them, and they thought, how would you oppose and how would you bring about changes without participating in politics? What are your views about this?
Baha'is have been admonished to avoid politics as they would the plague. We do not involve ourselves in those kinds of political issues. We do, however, we do vote, we do have a say, we do have a stand on all of those issues. And we can voice our beliefs and our feelings on all issues that relate to what is going on. As far as the process and political process itself, it is a very corrupted process, as we can all very well see. Every day we realize how corrupt it really is. And we do not become involved in that. We do not run for these offices, but we have to be subject to paying back people for getting us to that position. Baha'is who have any bodies that represent them are elected secretly and without any corruption, without any kind of proselytizing. People get in a room like this, they write down 9 names. The 9 names that show up the most represent the Baha'is of Los Angeles for 1 year. No politicking, no voting, no anything. That's how it happens. Secret ballot. We aren't involved in the process of corruption. And politics, yes, can be very corrupting. We're involved in it, but we don't run for the office. We don't get involved on the level of that corruption. We are told we should vote. We are told we should make a stand and our voice be heard on all issues from abortion to apartheid. Yes, we should, but not identify ourselves with any political party or any political institution in doing that. We cannot affiliate ourselves with those parties. We're nonpartisan. We're not part of any organization. We're Baha'is, and we believe this way, and we take a stand in this way. I don't have to join your party to have a stand on that issue. So yes, we should be involved politically, but not part of the political process. There's a difference.
Hello, my name is Larry. I read somewhere where you believe in life after death. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit more?
Jeez, life after death.
Life after death.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, Baha'is do believe in life after death. That is a very deep subject. We don't believe in the traditional heaven and hell, but we do believe in life after death. We don't believe that heaven is a place, nor is hell a place. We believe that heaven and hell are conditions. You don't have to die to go there. You can be in hell anywhere. You can be in heaven anywhere.
So hell can be a state of mind?
It's not necessarily a state of mind as much as it is a condition of the soul, the heart, and the mind. We believe there's a next world that we all go to after we leave this physical world. We don't believe in a physical devil, however, with a pitchfork somewhere into the ground that's going to stick us in the behind for the rest of our lives. We don't believe in that. We believe that evil and the devil, in terms of the symbology of it all, that man has 2 natures. He has an angelic nature and a satanic nature. It's part of his being. That's where free will comes from. And in identifying with God, that is heavenly. Identifying with the lower nature and the ego, that is evil. And therefore, we have this constant dual battle with us all the time. The tree of good and evil is within man. It was a symbol from the very beginning. There was not a tree, but that exists in man. And yes, we all do go to this place. But there are various conditions that we have. People will say, well, how could possibly Hitler be in the same world? Hitler was a bad person. How could he be in the next world? He is in the next world. But you can be in the same world but be in a different condition, obviously. Okay? Me and this cup are in the same world. This cup and I are sharing this world right now. Same world. Oscar in the cup. Compared to me, this cup is dead, although we know it's alive. The cup is alive. It has atoms moving around. It's a live thing. Rocks are alive. Everything's alive. But compared to me, it's dead. Same world. So maybe in the next life, the comparisons will be the same way. I pole vault to the next world, you pole vault to the next world. There we are. I land on the lower level, you land on the higher level. Compared to you, I may be a cup. I may be dead. I may be non-existent compared to you. Same world. All the same world. But conditions are different. A different condition. And heaven is close to God, close in nearness to God. Hell is distance from God, being away from God and not aware of the teachings and knowledge of God. That's what hell is. You can be in hell in any place, but the condition of hell is what is real.
My name is Shiva Murthy from India. You respect all other prophets, but Baha'u'llah and his principles and philosophy are always held at a higher level. According to the progressive revelation. When you are in college, you don't go back to the kindergarten. That would look very ridiculous. It implies that this is the religion of today. This is the best religion of all the past religions. Or all the other religions are dead and powerless? That's what I understand.
No, they're not dead and powerless because there is spirit in all religions. The reality is that mankind, yes, has moved to this present condition and present state. Yes, he is in college. Yes, he does have higher knowledge and information, but everything has its roots. When you take the fruit from the tree, do you deny the ground that it's in? You look at the tree and the trunk of the tree. Do you deny the trunk? Do you deny the limbs? You deny the leaves. What do you deny? In order to have the fruit, the Baha'i faith, yes, is the fruit of religion. But we cannot have the Baha'i faith or the fruit without the whole tree. We must love the whole tree. We must love the ground, the roots that go into the ground, the foundation of that tree. Yes, Jesus and Moses and Krishna and Abraham are the foundations, the parts of that tree. And yes, we have the fruit, but we'll never deny the tree. We cannot deny the tree. The Spirit is the tree. Religion is one. There is no difference. It is the same Spirit. The Spirit of Christ is in the Spirit of Baha'u'llah. There is no difference. We're not ever going to deny the spiritual reality of that Son of God, or that apostle of God, or that friend of God, as Abraham was called. That is all part and parcel of this oneness that we talk about. Yes, it is the latest religion, it is not the last religion. And it could not be. We would not have the Baha'i faith if it were not for those other religions that prepared us for the Baha'i faith and its unity and its oneness and its all-inclusiveness. We would not have it. So we do not deny in any way. We deny the laws and institutions that no longer apply. But the spiritual teachings of Christ can never be denied. How can you ever deny the love and compassion that Christ taught? How could that not apply to today? It is still very much a part of our lives. It is still very important to our lives. How could you deny the laws that Moses brought to us? They still apply today. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. How can we deny any of the things that they taught us? The spiritual truths that they taught us. They're part of this religion as they have been part of all religions. The only difference has been that we have grown to understand our full capacity as a people in identifying ourselves as one people. That's where we are. We can never deny the past or the validity and value of the prophets of God from that past.
Before, when I said that I thought English was arrogant, in a sense I meant because of colonial oppression in the past, is how so many people do speak English, such as in Hong Kong or India or in America or South Africa or all over the world. The question I have is that you said something about keeping one's own culture or one's own traditions and all, but it seems that Baha'is intermarry between races, between cultures and so forth quite a bit. And when you're 1/8 of something and 1/16 of another and so forth and so on, ideally is then everything going to be sort of like a history, sort of like colonial Williamsburg, or do you know what I mean? Like not real anymore? Is that basically what a sort of long-term plan is with Baha'is? Or?
Baha'is do encourage intermarriage. They do encourage people of different cultures and races coming together. But by no means do we think the entire world's going to run out and marry somebody of another race right away. I mean, these cultures will still be intact probably for a long time to come. We do not encourage or deny the cultural impact. If you marry someone that's Latino, I mean, I don't think they're going to stop liking Mexican food because they married you. I mean, I like soul food. I like certain things from my background. I'm from New Orleans. I love seafood. I mean, I'm not going to deny that because of my wife. I mean, I'm sure we're going to find a way to both be able to have the things we like. So culture will persist. It will go on. It may be different. It may not be identically as it is today, but it still will exist. We still will have the values of our own backgrounds and our own heritage. It is important that we keep that, even in a marriage. When I become married to someone, say Asian, am I going to suddenly stop being an African American? Am I going to stop believing and feeling like I feel or where I come from? Am I going to stop?
Well, maybe
If I
not.
marry a Latino, am I going to stop believing, in what I know and what I like and what I enjoy?
Maybe not you, but what about your great-great-great-grandchildren that are
My great-great-great-grandson.
that are black and various Asian peoples and white and Eskimo and
Well, that's a good question, but I don't think I would really ever worry about that.
oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm just asking about it.
No, if it happened that we all ended up one big mush, kind of like a golden brown color as a result of all the intermarrying of everybody in the world, and whatever the food was, I would welcome that. I'd be happy to not have any more culture if it meant that we all were one people, we're all having a good time and living together and harmoniously. I mean, that would be wonderful. I wouldn't bother me at all. They could say culture is obsolete, cool with the O. That's fine with me. Yes, sir.
My name is Brother Kenneth 3X. I'm a registered member of the Nation of Islam and a follower of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. My question is to you, my brother, is that, first of all, did you ever check into the Nation of Islam? You say you've been into this Baha'i faith for 20 years, so we're talking about, what, 1970?
69, 68. I've been a Baha'i that long, but I investigated other things before I became a Baha'i.
Okay, you made mention about this was the only faith that you checked into, a religion that you checked into that didn't ask for any money. I know that the nation requires a lot of money because we are a nation within a nation, a small budding nation, and we need money to build a nation. I wanted to know if that was the reason that you did not decide to join the Nation of Islam.
I was very familiar with who was then called the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I'm very familiar with Malcolm X, who was an early follower of Elijah Muhammad. I did investigate Islam and the black Muslim movement at that time. If you're aware of what was going on during that time, it was in fact a very racist organization in terms of its values and ideas about white people in this country. Not to say that there was not a lot of anger and justified feelings, bad feelings towards white Americans at that time. And Malcolm X, in the beginning, agreed a great deal with Elijah's teachings until he broke with Elijah, if you know anything about that, and planned to form his African Unity Church. He had been to Mecca. Malcolm went to Mecca, and in Mecca he found people of all races, of all cultures, of all backgrounds, circumambulating the Kaaba, which is the central and grand mosque of the Muslim faith, the Muslim faith. And when he came back here, he did not see the reality of Islam as he understood it in its roots from Muhammad himself through Ali, his successor. He did not see the Islam being taught here in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as was taught by the Muhammad prophet founder of the Muslim faith. And when he broke with Elijah Muhammad, shortly after, he was killed. Ironically, he died as a result. But he saw the unity, even voiced in his own words. He's recognized the unity of mankind. Malcolm had recognized that yes, people of all backgrounds, Asian, white, black, and Latino, from all cultures, from all over the world, were in Mecca, represented and representing mankind. So you see, there was a difference. A difference still exists to this day. I don't say we don't have problems with other races or cultures, but I say we must find a way to bring ourselves together, not to point fingers, not to attack, not to make war, but to find a forum in which we can all agree. And yes, in choosing the Baha'i faith, I had investigated the black Muslims very intensely. I went to the mosque. I questioned. And I found that this religion was more incorporating of other people and cultures, and yes, it had a revolution of its own happening. And I chose to be part of that.
Hello, my name is Kala Hansa, and I wanted to ask about the Baha'i feeling on eternal life. Is there a feeling that man has eternal life, every person, or do some human beings have eternal life and some don't, depending on how they function on this plane of existence? And I'd just like to know what the Baha'i view is.
Baha'is believe that the soul is eternal. The soul created by God will always exist and always be advancing towards God from one condition to another condition. Christ said, in my Father's house are many mansions, meaning that there were many worlds of God and many places and kingdoms of God. And we're always advancing toward him. Baha'is believe God is unknowable. We will never know God as in his total essence. We will never totally know him. How can the creator and the creation be the same? We have creation and we have creator. One necessitates the other, but one cannot exist without the other. And there must always be this extreme. To become all-knowing is to become one with God, which is unthinkable. So God is always out of our reach, but we're always advancing towards him, from one world, one condition to another, always advancing. And the soul, yes, will always exist. We do not believe in reincarnation, that we come back to this world. There's no need. No need to come back. There's so many worlds ahead of us. We only know about two. The womb world, where we spend 9 months getting ready to come here. The world we have now. Those two we know for sure. And here we're preparing for other worlds of God. This is where we get ready. This is the only time we know for sure that we have free will, that we have choice. We had no choice in here. In the mother's womb, we had no choice. And we have no choice, perhaps, in the other worlds of God. So here's where the critical point of existence is, right here, right now. Here you choose what level you enter in that other world. Here you choose whether you're closer to God or distant from him because of your behavior. What you develop here spiritually will determine where you are there. As you are in the mother's womb, you grew eyes and arms and ears and all that for what? Not for 9 months in there. You can't use eyes inside your mother's womb. Well, good are hands. It just cramp up the space. It gets cramped in there after a while. And when you're born, you realize why you have hands and why you have eyes and why you have ears, why you have a mouth. Suddenly you know, here's where I'm going to use all this good stuff. Gee, look at all the stuff I can play with. And right now you should be preparing yourself spiritually, learning to love, forgive, to understand. Those are the spiritual arms and legs you'll need for that eternal life. Those spiritual principles are the arms and legs of our being in the next world. That's how we function in that next world, by what we learn and develop here. If a baby is born crippled without a foot, he can't go back and say, Mom, give me my foot. I didn't grow it in there when I was in there, so I want my foot now. Forget it. You're crippled. You can't go back. It's all over. The process is over. When you leave this world, enter that world, and you don't grow your spiritual arms and legs, you're as crippled there as a baby is coming into this world. There's something to learn here. There's something to develop here. And unlike the other worlds, this is the only time we have a choice as to how much we develop and how greatly we develop ourselves. The baby has no choice, and God in the next life will give us no choice. We'll be at his mercy in the next life, as the baby is at the mercy of a mother for 9 months and what she does to herself. No choice. But now, right this moment, we all have that choice. The only time in our existence that we know for sure that we have a choice now. Develop spiritual arms and legs, or choose not to. Be a whole soul in the next life, or be a crippled soul. It's your choice. And yes, we will forever be developing towards our Creator. Yes, we are eternal. Yes, we will live now that we're in existence. We will always exist. You can't come from nothing and get something. And once something exists, it will always exist. It will only change form. That's what happens. Water to gas, gas to rain, rain down, ice, water. I mean, you got a cycle going. It never will not exist. It will always exist. And man will always exist. The soul will always exist. Be assured of that. We will all be together again in some other life. Maybe I'll be in the basement. Maybe you'll be on the 10th floor. Maybe you can wave to me, come down and visit. That which is above can understand that which is below. But that which is below will never understand which is above. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but it's very true. That which is above can comprehend all that is below it. That which is at the bottom cannot understand that which is above it. So therefore, there will be different levels in the next world. Maybe you will be so elevated spiritually, I will not even be able to conceive of your greatness. But you looking at me will be able to see very much who I am and what I am. That is the reality of that world. That is the levels of that world. There is no evil but the evil in all of us. There is no darkness but our own darkness. There's no need or fear of fire. Our own thoughts, our own minds, our own consciousness that will exist forever is enough torment for us all. Surely, no need for fire. An example, just to explain what evil is to us, which I will end with this, is that were we to open the windows to the center, what would happen? Would the light go out or the darkness come in? There is no power in darkness. Darkness is a lack of something, an absence of something. There is no power in ignorance. It's a lack of knowledge. It's an absence of something. That is a void. That is the nothingness of it all. The power is in the light. The power is in the good. And when the light is on, darkness flees because it has no power to fight the light. There is no demon called Satan that can fight the powerful God. There is no such being. It is a symbology, a whole thing of man's nature. Man having the power to choose against his Lord. God gave us this choice. That is the only evil that exists. The only Satan that exists is our choice to turn against God's will. That is the evil in the world. God did not do any of these things that have happened to us. So you see, there is no power in the darkness. Power is in the light. Power is in the truth. Power is in the teachings of God. And when you're ignorant of those things, yes, you are in darkness. Yes, you will behave like an animal. And yes, you will be evil. But that's out of either ignorance or choice. Not because there is something making you do it. There's no devil. I say there's a devil, stick him on me. People that believe in the devil say, hey, you got a whammy or something? You got some kind of incantation? Please, I want you to zap Oscar. Because I don't believe in it. There is no power in it. The only power is the power I give to it. And I give it no power. So I fear nothing. He that fears God shall fear nothing. He that does not fear God shall be made to fear all things. Baha'u'llah. He that fears God fears nothing. He that does not fear God shall be made to fear all things. I thank you for your patience.